right, guys, let's do this. What up? It's JoJo on the radio. This is the iHeart Radio Countdown. My buddy saw him a couple of months ago, and we got so much to chat about from the Backstreet Boys. Nick Carter, what's up, man?
Hey, man, how are you?
I'm doing awesome. Dude, we got so much to chat about. We got the solo music, upcoming solo album. We'll talk some Backstreet Boys, the Spear Show. It is so good. We'll jump into that later on, too. Nick, it's good to see your face, man. Hope you are well.
Yeah, I'm doing really good.
All right, Nick Carter's hanging out. Let's get on with this countdown. This is song. What up? It's JoJo on the radio. And yes, this is the iHeart Radio Countdown. Nick Carter of the Backstreet Boys hanging out. Nick, more Sphere shows coming in July and August. How excited are you for that?
Yeah, we're really excited. We got a little break right now here in Vegas before the next run that's coming up. So yeah, we're excited. I'm just doing a little breather. The only thing we have coming up is Bottle Rock in California, up there in Napa Valley. But just hanging out, doing baseball stuff.
That's got to be a good time. Once you get off stage, just drink a bunch of wine.
Yeah, no, it's been that's going to be great because it's a huge festival and we've never done it before. So with everything with Sphere and Backstreet Boys, it's just, we're blessed to be getting the opportunities we're getting right now. And yeah, it's kind of, it's just been really great.
All right, Nick Carter is hanging out. Now let's get back to the countdown. This is song number 18. All right, guys, we back. What up? It's JoJo on the radio. This is the iHeart Radio Countdown. Nick Carter's hanging out. Going to play a new track called Love, Life, and Tragedy later on in the countdown. This song basically named after his album, which came out in May of 2025 called Love, Life, Tragedy. Walk me through where this song fits on that album because it's not on the album.
No, it's not on the album. And so the idea was I put this album out, last May, and it took me like 3 years to do it because it was a very personal album. I wrote a lot of songs on that record that just were things I was going through in my life. It was sort of my diary in a way, and I was really proud of the record. I put it out. It did really well, but it was really underground, like under the radar. And this was way before we had done Sphere, before we did any shows, before we kind of started coming back again. And so I thought that this would be a really great way to remind people that this album was even out in the first place because it was so special to me. So yeah, and I went to my producers. I said, I think we should write a song called Love, Life, Tragedy. And so we did. Yeah, I just wanted to put it out right now.
And yeah, like I said, going to play that track later in the show. Nick Carter is hanging out on with the countdown. Time for an extra track. This is the iHeart Radio Countdown. That was song number 17 this week on the iHeart Radio Countdown. What up? It's JoJo on the radio. Nick Carter is hanging out. To my understanding, you are working on or about to jump on a new album that'll be released who knows when, but that process, recording process, writing, all that's going to kick off here fairly soon, if not now, right?
Yeah, right now, actually. I got inspired again. Things have been, like I said, been really, really good, but there's been so much thrown at us as the Backstreet Boys, just like, the show, every time we get on stage, we're meeting all these people want to come see us again. And again, we're so grateful for it. But, we are individuals as well. AJ does his solo stuff. He just put out his solo record. And those are ways to kind of, for me, this music keeps me grounded. So for me, it's like when I go back into the studio, which I want to go in the next couple of days, I'm putting out Love, Life, Tragedy to inspire, remind people that record came out, and then start to write and record new music. So in the next couple of days, that's what I'm going to be doing. And we're beginning that process. But yeah, music just keeps me grounded and reminds me, that's where it all began, was with the music as writers, as creators, as artists as well.
All right, Nick Carter's hanging out. Back to the countdown. Here we go. This is song number 16. That was song number 15 this week on the iHeart Radio Countdown. What up? It's JoJo on the radio. Nick Carter is hanging out. Nick, what is the biggest difference between Backstreet Boys music and Nick Carter music? I know there's a lot of similarities, clearly, but what are the biggest differences?
I mean, I think there's similarities. One of the biggest differences, if you listen to this song Love, Life, Tragedy, you'll see that it's a love song. And so we've done a lot of heartbreak songs. We've done a lot of love songs, being in love and all those things with Backstreet Boys. So that kind of is, in a sense, what that is. It's a little more simplistic song. It's got just a little bit of a guitar on it, but if you listen to that song and it takes you back to Love, Life, Tragedy, the record, you'll see that I'd like to say I'm pretty eclectic eclectic when it comes to the kind of music, because I like everything. You know what I mean? I
Right.
like all types of music. I mean, country, pop, 80s, rock, R&B, hip hop. I love it all. And so I was able to do that with that record. So there's a little bit of everything on that record when it comes sonically sounding, and also writing. The difference between, I think, Backstreet Boys is that we have, again, very grateful, had great producers and writers, but those songs are kind of etched in time. They're nostalgic for a lot of people.
Right.
This is new stuff. You know what I mean? So I'm writing, songs that are personal to me. Sharing stories, sharing feelings. I'm a human being. I'm a father. I'm living. That's what the whole record was about: love, life, tragedy. We all, as people, go through that. The older we get, we all experience love. We all experience a lot of life, and tragedy just happens in our lives, and that's what being a human being is all about.
All right, Nick Carter's hanging out. On with the countdown. Here we go. This is song number 14. All right, guys, we back. It's JoJo on the radio. This is the iHeart Radio Countdown. Going to play the new Nick Carter solo song in a couple of seconds. Speaking of the Backstreet Boys, I'm telling you, everybody, all ages, all everything, loves Backstreet Boys. And I'm sitting in the booth. What do you call it? The box at Sphere. It was so nice. And sitting right next to me, and keep in mind, I'm a big NFL fan, right? But I didn't recognize this guy at first. But he looks at me and said, man, I totally forgot to wear white, because you guys ask everybody to wear white to the show, right? And he was like, man, I didn't wear white. I feel so bad. I'm like, dude, you are all good. You have fun. Nobody's going to stress. But then it hit me like, wait a minute. That dude, that was NFL, ex-NFL quarterback Rich Gannon. And I was like, what am I doing?
I remember he was there that night.
Yeah.
I remember he was there that night. That was so funny. No, and he told me that. Rich Gannon told me that as well. He said, hey, I want to just apologize. I didn't wear the white tonight. And I said, you really didn't want to wear it. And he's like, yeah, you're right. I didn't want to wear it. I'm like, no problem, bro. You're good.
Oh my God. Nick Carter is hanging out. On with the countdown. Let's do it. This is song number 13. That was song number 12 this week on the iHeart Radio Countdown. What up? It's JoJo on the radio. Nick Carter's hanging out. Nick, this track, Love, Life, and Tragedy. What's the backstory? What do people need to know?
Well, I think it's a simple song. I've never really tried to, this about me. I've always been trying to go against the grain. I could have easily have done stuff like in the past. If I'm doing if I'm like, okay, I want to write a rock song and I want to sing a rock pop song, I'm going to do it. And people are going to look at me like, what's wrong with this guy? You know what I mean? But It's just because I love, I just love music, and so much music has inspired me. So this has a lot of, I love guitar. I play guitar. I love a lot of guitar music, whether it's the crunchy stuff, whether it's just the old folk stuff, little country stuff, whatever, folk, whatever. Guitar is the basis of this song. And so it's just really guitar and vocals and a story of love, that sometimes love can be difficult, and we're all searching for it and trying to find that love, and also songs like this, I think, can help you realize that nothing is easy, but it's worth fighting for.
All right, here we go. Nick Carter, Love, Life, and Tragedy. Check this.
It would be so easy to turn and run, hide away and never see if you're the one to make tomorrow a better day. But baby, every shelter needs a pouring rain. On the edge, looking down, eternity to the ground. In the end, in the fall, that was when we felt it all. Yeah, I know love isn't perfect, yeah, but I know without a life isn't worth it, yeah, but I know that I wanna feel everything, even if the beauty comes with pain and tragedy. I know love isn't perfect, yeah, but I know it's worth the risk for me. Love, life, and tragedy. A broken promise to a broken heart that told me not to try from the very start. But you're my weakness, you're in my blood. I wouldn't take a second back for anyone. On the edge, looking down.
right, guys, we back. It's JoJo on the radio. Nick Carter hanging out. Nick, the Backstreet Boys Sphere show. I went to it back in December, on my birthday, December 27th. And it was just, and I hope you believe me when I say this, not just because I love you and I've known you guys forever and friends and all that, but that is one of the greatest shows I've seen a lot of shows, That's one of the greatest shows I've ever seen in my life. I hope you know how good it is, because you never get to see it live because you're on stage. It's so good. So, two-part question. What's the most difficult part of putting this show together? And then we'll jump to the second part, most difficult part performing it.
Putting the show together was not that difficult because thankfully we have a lot of great music.
True. True.
And so we were able to give that to the producers. Well, okay, let me back up.
But the graphics had to be...
It can be difficult because you have to understand this. There's 5 guys in this group, and it's a democracy. And, every guy has an opinion. And so sometimes some guys step up and want to handle that job. Kevin's one of those people, you know what I mean? So, he gets very particular on how he wants things to look and all that, and just how it relates to the music. But then we also rely on a director, which Baz was an incredible director, and he's done it. He's the one that fills those rooms. Every single artist that comes in, he's the one that creates the content for it. So we had a really good team that was able to do it. But then, there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen when it comes to Backstreet Boys. So there was times when I just was like, you know what, you guys just handle it. I'll step on stage, I'll perform, I'm good. And I swear to God, that's the truth.
That's so funny.
I was like, listen, the music's there, just make sure like the content looks good and it's a good show, and I'm fine.
All right, we'll get to part 2 of that question coming up. Nick Carter is hanging out. Back to the countdown. Here we go. This is song number 11. That was song number 10 this week on the iHeart Countdown. What up? It's JoJo on the radio. Nick Carter of the Backstreet Boys hanging out, talking about the Sphere show. Sphere Vegas. 2-part question. What's the most difficult part of putting the show together? And then what's the most difficult part of performing this show?
Answer to the second question, the performance side of it. We're a little older right now, so, keeping our bodies in shape. We've said that a million times. We don't sound like old men, but it's not that hard because there's only 3 shows a week. I'd like to say one of the hardest is not the show itself, but it's the after and the before, because we have not had, and God knows how long, people who have, people are coming to the show. It's becoming nostalgic. Like, people are really excited that it's almost like they're either reintroduced to our music, or they're reinvigorated, or they're, introduced for the first time. So we got to meet all these people after the show and stuff like that. And so there's like this huge like lounge or whatever that we're talking, hanging out with people, talking to people, and just at the same time realizing that, staying grounded and grateful, and that this is an opportunity that doesn't come around along, a lot, and understanding that, especially this time around, because if you go back with Backstreet Boys, we were younger and, in our teens and stuff like that. And, we were just kind of like learning how to handle things. And there sometimes, you never know, there could be somebody who was like meeting you for the first time, and you were either really tired or you were just, burnt out, or whatever the situation might have been. And, your reaction, like, we're older now, so we understand a little bit more than what we did before, is my point.
All right, Nick Carter of the Backstreet Boys hanging out. On with the countdown. Let's do it. This is song number 9. All right, guys, we back. It's JoJo on the radio. Nick Carter of the Backstreet Boys hanging out. Just added new Sphere Vegas shows in July and August. Get them tickets. I cannot tell you how good this show is. Another question about the performance itself. During I Want It That Way, you guys get lifted up crazy high in the air, right? I believe you guys are all strapped into a post so you don't fall off. Is that scary, or is it just no big deal?
Well, first of all, I think it's above 100 feet. So pretty high. And secondly, was scary in the beginning. I do trust the technology in Sphere and and our crew and everybody to make sure that we're safe. I do have like some thoughts about these poles that we have where we're strapped to, but I'm just like, how is that going to work if something happened? But I'm not going to go there mentally because I got to keep getting up on this thing. So to answer the question, it's fun. It is really fun because when you get up there and you're able to be like eye level with the crowd and certain in those people that are in the tiers a little higher, you know, they have we as the performers, we just get a different perspective of the show, and it's great.
All right, Nick Carter of the Backstreet Boys hanging out on with the countdown. Here we go. This is song number 8. All right, guys, we back. It's JoJo on the radio. This is the iHeart Radio countdown. Nick Carter is hanging out. Nick, what's your favorite Backstreet? This impossible question. Favorite Backstreet Boys lyric you have ever sang, and your favorite Nick Carter lyric, solo lyric you've ever sang?
Oh God, probably "Tell Me Why." You know, because I was the first in that song. I Want It That Way. I'm the one that first kicks off the chorus with the "Tell Me Why," and that was I remember back when we recorded that song. I don't know if I realized how important it was when you're recording music and writing music and you're a songwriter and you're trying to put together that perfect song that once it hits, you know, on radio and once people hear the song, it hooks you, you know, so that you remember it and the voices kind of attached to that memory and everything. So I didn't realize how big it was, but now looking back, I'm thinking like, oh God, that was a pretty big responsibility, you know, to be able to have to sing that "Tell Me Why." And I remember Max Martin and those guys saying, you know, you're going to sing this. And I remember going, okay, you know, so, but looking back, that was interesting. The Nick Carter lyric, I think looking back helped me, that first single that I put out as a solo artist, that it was, looking back at it now, it made so much sense, you know, and means so much to me now because I've always been open and have been open for help, you know, from people in my entire life. And so looking back in those lyrics, it means a lot to me.
All right, Nick Carter's hanging out. Back to the countdown. Here we go. This is song number 5.